In a report on 60 Minutes Sunday, the founder of Yelp accused Google of being a monopoly. Jeremy Stoppelman said that it would be impossible to start Yelp today because Google plants its own services at the top of search results. The European Union's competition commissioner hit Google with a $2.7 billion fine last summer for depriving certain competitors of a chance to compete with them. Google paid the fine, but they are appealing. And joining me now is KTVU tech expert Ryan Eldridge from Nerds on Call for more on this report and possible repercussions here. So, Ryan, based on what you've heard today, what's come to light, can Google be considered a monopoly?
Well, I don't think it hits the exact standard for monopoly, but it certainly puts them in a position to abuse their power and possibly squelch competition. And there's no exact data that's saying that they have absolutely done that. Yelp is certainly saying that that's what they're seeing. TripAdvisor has joined Yelp in creating a new initiative called Focus on the User. They created a browser extension that allows you to do some sample searches so you can kind of see how biased Google can be towards local search engines or local businesses. Here's the thing, Google does 3.5 billion search queries in a day, and ultimately what the EU and what Yelp is saying is that Google is sort of showing favoritism to their own properties rather than to the competition. So if you typed in something like dentist in San Francisco, you'll get a search query that'll show up, and the first 3 results will be ads that are Google properties. The next 3 to 7 results will be Google local results, which again are Google My Business pages, and then down below that is just whatever happens to come up in organic. And Yelp and TripAdvisor are saying that's just not fair.
Yeah, well, that's what they're pointing out. Now, the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, said today, based on these reports talking about Google, that these tech companies really need to be examined here. Now, it's not under his department, but can his words carry weight here?
Well, I don't know exactly if whether his words will carry weight, but certainly if the FTC looks into them again, which they did in 2011, and in 2011, the report that came out of that inquiry was they said there should be more investigation into whether or not Google is doing anti-competitive techniques in order to suppress competitors.
Yeah, they found some irregularities during that time, during the investigation, which we didn't find out about until the report accidentally was published or sent to the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, and in last night's report on 60 Minutes, they were essentially saying that maybe Google's massive bankroll in the Obama administration and in their lobbying efforts is sort of squashed that report and made that go away, whereas in the EU, where they have not as much influence, maybe that's why they got hit with a $2.7 billion fine. But when it comes to search, Google does have competition, and Google says their competition is just a click away. They have Bing and Yahoo, much smaller, DuckDuckGo for anonymous searching. The difference is here really is we're all used to using Google, and most users say they love Google and they don't like Bing or they don't like Yahoo and they don't like their search results.
Right, so you can't change someone's habits. If they like using the product, they like using the product, which brings me to my next question. Can't another company come along and create a product? I mean, we live in that society where you create competition by creating another company to compete with another company.
Yes. Specifically when it comes to local results, I don't think Google does a very good job at all. In fact, when I try to search for local restaurants, I rarely go to Google unless I'm looking for a map. I'll use Yelp, or I'll use Zagat, which actually is a Google property, or I'll use TripAdvisor or some other different search engine because I know Google's algorithm is incomplete. Their database is incomplete. The most complete database in the world is the one we don't use anymore, which is the Yellow Pages. Not every local business has a digital presence. Not every local business has a website or a Facebook page. And if they don't exist online, Google doesn't know they're there. But if you go to the Yellow Pages, everybody has a phone because they've still got to take reservations. They got to take all that stuff. But nobody uses the Yellow Pages anymore simply because it's archaic and nobody wants to carry around a big 400-page document of where everything is.
They don't, but they still deliver it. I just got one sitting at my front door just the other day, although it's much smaller than it was in years past. Ryan Eldridge from Nerds on Call, thank you so much for your insight today.
You're welcome.